Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today I'll be sharing my thermal testing and game testing results of the HP Victus 16 with the Radeon RX 5500M graphics card. In my opinion, this particular all AMD HP Victus is probably the most underrated or overlooked laptop in the entire Victus lineup. It only costs 60,000 Indian rupees and comes with a GPU which is truly better than a GTX 1650. And also it provides an overall well-rounded laptop experience. Definitely wait for my full review, as in this video I'll only show the performance results. Now all games were conducted under 30 degrees centigrade ambient temperature using the default power profile in the HP command center, and also the battery slider set to maximum performance in the Windows power profiles. I tested the laptop by keeping the fans at maximum, but even if you don't keep it on maximum and you keep it on auto, the results are identical. Alright, now before showing you the gaming performance results, let's take a look at raw CPU thermals when you test the laptop with a full CPU load in Cinebench R20 and R23. Let's get to the results. So the way HP has tuned the 5600H inside the HP Victus is quite a bit different to the way they tuned the 4600H in the HP Pavilion from last year. The 5600H boosts to a whopping 68 watt at the beginning, but only for a couple of seconds, and then drops gradually down to a locked 45 watt TDP for the rest of the benchmark. This results in an all-core average clock speed of 3.7 GHz, unlike last year's Pavilion, which could maintain 4 GHz all-core for the entire run, as it pulled more power on average. However, the improved Zen 3 architecture results in an overall uplift of 10% over the 4600H in multi-core performance. HP could definitely push the Victus a bit further. However, the best part of this approach is that the temperatures are absolutely awesome with an average temperature of under 75 degrees centigrade. That's amazing. In auto fan mode, the average temperatures rises to 82 degrees centigrade, but the fans are literally silent. You cannot hear it unless you stick your ear really close to the laptop. In battery power, the performance takes a significant hit, but still performs like a Core i7 9750H with an average temperature of just about 53 degrees centigrade. Lastly, here's a 10-minute Cinebench R23 loop to test for throttling. And yeah, there is literally no throttling whatsoever, with an average temperature of just 75 degrees centigrade and an average single loop score of over 9000. I didn't have enough time to test this for a concrete score though. So overall, the thermals of the laptop were really good, just about in line with what I had expected from a laptop of this caliber. It's well ventilated and has pretty large copper heat pipes. And remember, this laptop goes up to a Ryzen 7 5800H with an RTX 3060, and that is well cooled. So this particular configuration with a 50 watt GPU and a 6-core CPU is no problem for this laptop to cool. But yeah, do keep in mind, since it is well ventilated, it does have really good thermals, but as days will go on, as time will pass, it will start accumulating a lot of dust in the future. So about 7-8 months in, you will see that the laptop thermals have gradually risen, and that's when you gotta open up the back panel and clean up the internals to maintain the good thermals. So yeah, with every laptop, dust is the biggest enemy. Okay, now finally let's talk gaming. I only had this laptop for half a day, so if I couldn't test your favorite game, then I'm just sorry. But yeah, this game test results will give you a good idea with what this laptop can achieve with this RDNA 1 RX 5500M graphics. I have captured the game footage using a capture card and a second laptop, so there is no loss to performance, and also it is easier for you guys to see all the metrics which I have shown. I have shown all the metrics on screen: the power draw, the clock speeds, the thermals, yeah, and FPS 1% lows, everything I have shown. And not only that, I have also actually tested a couple of games using an external monitor, and I have also listed the averages for the external monitor in the games I'm going to show. So without any further ado, let's get to the game results. First up, Red Dead Redemption 2. In high settings, we get an average of 50 FPS, which is quite good, while on medium settings, we get an average of 60 FPS. Interestingly, with an external monitor, we get a big 15% boost to average FPS in medium settings. Next up, we got Shadow the Tomb Raider. We get an average of 57 FPS on high settings and 61 FPS on medium settings. Next up is Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which is a Radeon sponsored title, and expectedly we get a pretty impressive average of 58 FPS in medium settings and 65 FPS in low settings. Testing high settings and above didn't make sense to me as it was surpassing the 4GB VRAM size of the RX 5500M. Next up is Horizon Zero Dawn, where in original preset we get a respectable average of 64 FPS, while on favor quality preset we get an average of 54 FPS. We get only minor improvements when using an external monitor. Next up is Far Cry 5. We get a great average of 71 FPS on high settings and 74 FPS on medium settings. We are already maxing out the GPU if you look at the GPU usage, and so once again using an external monitor doesn't provide any major improvements. Next is Battlefield 5, where I could only test at high settings. We get anywhere between 65 to 80 FPS on average. Impressive performance. The 1% lows here are a little bit misleading. I only had a couple of stutters actually. Overall, the gameplay experience was really smooth. In CSGO, the Zen 3 cores really flexes its muscles with an average of 215 FPS on the laptop screen and 322 FPS with an external monitor. I was seeing 400-500 FPS in certain scenes. You could definitely saturate a 240Hz external monitor with this laptop for a competitive CSGO experience. Same applies for other esports games like Dota 2 and Valorant. Then on Fortnite in high settings you can expect an average of 80 FPS, while on medium settings you can expect an average of 100 FPS. It's good, but generally Nvidia cards do perform better in this game. Now similar to Fortnite, in PUBG you can expect about the same experience in terms of average FPS. Next up is Forza Horizon 4, and this is the only game where I was a little bit disappointed. In maxed out ultra settings we get an average of 61 FPS. I'm not sure if it's the laptop itself or it's the RX 5500M, but I expected somewhere close to 70-75 FPS. The 4600H HP Pavilion with the GTX 1650 can do 70 FPS in this benchmark. Let me know if you guys with RX 5500M GPU are getting the same FPS as me or not. Last but not the least, what every first-time gaming laptop buyer in India wants to see is GTA 5. This 7-year-old game, even with maxed out settings, is no problem for the RX 5500M, which will get you anywhere between 70 FPS to 120 FPS on average depending on the scene. So the performance out of the RDNA 1 RX 5500M graphics is really good, especially the price at which this laptop comes. It is truly better than a GTX 1650 Ti. Also, since it's an all AMD laptop and there is questions on driver stability, let me tell you, the RDNA 1 drivers are fully matured at this point and I had no problem gaming whatsoever, whether on the laptop screen or on an external display. There were no hiccups, no issues, everything worked well, except in one place, which is a pretty common issue with all AMD laptops which has Vega graphics and RX and Radeon dedicated GPUs. That is, in Shadow of the Tomb Raider, when I launched the game at first, it crashed. But that was because it was using the iGPU to launch the game. So all I had to do was just go into the graphics settings of Windows and add that particular Shadow of the Tomb Raider and specify it to run with the RX 5500M graphics, and that just solved the issue. It is a very simple fix, it's well known, and other than that there were like literally no issue. Everything was buttery smooth. Yeah, all good. Now my only gripe gaming on this laptop is not even the performance, because the performance is pretty awesome for the price it comes in. But my only gripe is that this HP Victus, all these base models, they don't have a high refresh rate option. The high refresh rate option is only reserved for the RTX 3050 Ti and the RTX 3060 models. I am really not sure why HP doesn't provide us with a high refresh rate option, even if they would like charge 63,000 or 64,000 rupees and provide a 120 Hz or a 144 Hz high refresh rate model. I think it would pretty much become the best gaming laptop under 65,000 rupees. But unfortunately, HP has not given us that option, but it is what it is. It comes with only a 60 Hz display, and that's what we got. That's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Do wait for the full review. It is coming out very shortly, and I'll be testing some more laptops, probably the Lenovo IdeaPad Gaming 3 in a few days, and a bunch of other videos is coming up. So do stay subscribed, keep supporting, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.